Hey y'all, let's talk about the legend of the vampire crypt. So in Erie, Pennsylvania, a family decided to go ahead, plan ahead, and build themselves a crypt, and they did. So there came a point in time after that crypt had been built that one of the gentlemen from town went to Romania. He passed away and they shipped the body back. Well, about that same time, there were some other bodies that needed to be moved, and the family graciously allowed them to move them on into that family crypt or mausoleum. Nobody really thought much about it until the cemetery caretaker came along and noticed that mausoleum door was open. Well, he didn't think much of it. Kids, foolishness. He just went ahead and he shut it. A couple of days went by, and one of the groundskeepers came up to the cemetery caretaker and said, I found that door open. And they shut it again. Well, it wasn't too long after that when they found that mausoleum door open, you could almost guarantee somebody in town had died the night before. And the caretaker started to wonder, are those two things related? So the caretaker decided he was going to swing on by that mausoleum for just a minute, and he noticed something odd. The name of the family, well, it had been removed from the mausoleum. And he also noticed that the symbol above the door hadn't been removed, and now it really kind of looked like a V. He hadn't noticed that before. Well, he paid really no never mind to it until that pattern became to where they really kind of had to pay attention to it. So they decided, we're going to lock the mausoleum up. We're going to see if that fixes the problem. And they did, and it did for a little while. And I say for a little while because after a period of time, after a while, this kiddo was in town and he thought, I'm going to go visit that vampire and I'm going to break into that door and I'm going to visit him. Well, he managed to break in all right, but he didn't come out alive. Townsfolk again said, leave it alone. And they did again for a while. And after a while, another young man came along and he said, you know what, this is foolishness. And he said, I'm going to knock on that door. I don't believe in vampires. And he kind of mocked that there could be a vampire in there. He went home and he told his dad, and his dad said, well, that was dumb. You need to go on up to your room and you need to think about what you did, and you do not go back there. Well, it wasn't too long after he was in his room that Dad heard a scream. He ran up the stairs to his son's room only to find his son dead and fingers bitten off. And I wish I could say that they had learned after that point, but unfortunately they didn't, because there was another young man who crawled on top of the mausoleum, and he too decided to mock it, and his friends didn't follow him up there. All of a sudden he fell, and they say it looks like he was pushed. And even though it wasn't that far to the ground, he hit just right till he broke his neck and he died. So today, if you go and visit that mausoleum in Erie, Pennsylvania, in Erie Cemetery, be polite, use your best manners. You never know what might be in there. And that is the legend of the